Chairman, you talk about warning signs. Our own Jackie Heinrich had raised this with John Kirby at the White House today, whether there had been, early signals or warnings of this attack last week by Hamas. This is from the White House briefing a few moments ago.
Can you speak to the reports that Israel was warned by Egypt?
I can't.
McCall from Foreign Affairs made that allegation this morning, saying that that was something that members were told on the Foreign Affairs Committee. So has that been discussed at all, or is that something you're looking into?
I can't speak to specific intelligence matters. Again, there will be a time to look back at this, as we always do, and we will. Right now, we're sharpening the intelligence gathering and cooperation and sharing with Israel, as we should, since they're involved in active operations, and we're making sure that they get the tools they need.
All right, so your intelligence might be saying one thing, Chairman. John Kirby might be holding cards close to his vest. His and at the White House says another. Who's right?
Well, we do know the Egyptian intelligence did refer this to Israel. And I can't get into any more depth than that. But I do think there was a threat stream out there. It was a failure of intelligence. And we had a classified briefing that I moderated with the entire House today. And we're going to have to get to the bottom of what went wrong. They planned for almost a year, Hamas did, to make this horrible invasion attack on Israel. And yet there were no warning signs in advance. When the Egyptians did warn Israeli officials, obviously there wasn't enough done to stop it.
Phil Giraldi, I got to ask you about Gaza as a former and guy on the ground for the CIA, not an analyst, but someone that actually met spies and talked to people. What happened on Saturday?
Now, in my opinion, and I think this is the opinion of a growing body of people, the Israeli government knew this was coming.
What is your take on the massive and almost unprecedented intelligence failure on the part of Israeli Mossad and to a certain extent on the part of the Israeli military, which precipitated or permitted the Hamas attacks of last weekend?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I'm not convinced it's all that simple. I have this feeling that there are a number of competing narratives that are playing out here, and that one of them might well be something like what we might call a false flag. I have a feeling that, in fact, there's evidence on the table that the Israelis were warned by the Egyptians, among others, that something was brewing in Gaza. And the Israelis, beyond that, have had and still have amazing intelligence capabilities, both electronic and human, when it comes to their surrounding of the Gaza enclave. So I have a feeling that a lot more was known, and there were perhaps some political decision making going in on this, and they made a political decision. The political decision was, hey, let them do this, let them get away with it, and this will produce the outrage that will enable us to destroy them.
Mowing the lawn, like they used to say. Yeah, let's go mow the lawn. Because in previous incidents, it would just be a couple rockets or whatever, and then they would go, oh, the rockets, it wouldn't kill anybody, wouldn't do anything, and then they would just go carpet bomb Gaza. This one went through. Now, Pepe Escobar, I'm sure you're familiar with him, wrote an article exposing how they had operatives spying on Hamas, watching the whole training exercise, because Hamas built replicas of the wall and bases and practice on it. The Israelis do the same thing. They have an entire replica of Jenin down to the pebble. And so they knew this was going on.
But do you think it realistic that the Israelis would have looked the other way because they didn't expect the invasion to be as severe and bloody and horrific as it was, and we're looking for an excuse to do what they're now doing, which is invading, leveling, and decimating portions of Gaza?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. You have to kind of figure out which is the quid pro quo here. Was it more important to to sort of crush this thing before it started, or was it more important to let it play out to a certain extent and exploit it? And so I'm kind of, on the fence about this. Although my inclinations are that having been, let me put it this way, having been a intelligence officer, not an analyst, but somebody who actually worked on the ground with spies and all that sort of thing, I would just make a guess that the Mossad had probably 100 agents inside Gaza who were reporting on they were seeing and what they were hearing. And so I find this a formidable obstacle. And I kind of think, there's got to be another twist here. And the other twist would be, well, do we want to mow the grass now? Do we want to destroy Gaza completely? This will give us the excuse to do so.
How could 100 agents have missed the preparation by thousands of people, air, sea, and land, to invade Israel?
Well, the one simple answer to that is that they didn't, that they were reporting it. If you go to Pepe Escobar's article that came out today, he cites a link and evidence that the training exercises that Hamas was engaging in for this exercise, for this attack, were observed. And so it's, again, you chase this around and you wind up in the same place. Now, one other question that I have in my mind is, how did Hamas get its weapons? Here it's completely confined on all four sides, completely enclosed, cut off from the world, and yet they had some very sophisticated missiles and things. So are we looking at a double cross, a triple cross, or a quadruple cross?
Do you think maybe because it was a Jewish holiday, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I also think it's a false flag, but I'm just going to play advocate. A lot of people were gone. Some of these women at the monitors were asleep at the wheel and just didn't think they'd ever break through the wall, and just didn't think it would come, and didn't notice it till it was too late.
Well, that's, of course, the counter argument that's being made, that this was an intelligence and military failure. But again, I don't see that. There was just too much stuff coming in within a short window. I mean, this is a few days before the incident took place, that the U.S. intelligence agencies that are in contact with, liaison with the Israelis, and also the Egyptian intelligence agencies, had picked up on all this and warned them that there was something coming. So that's no excuse,
because the Egyptians publicly said, "Hey, we warned them," and they ignored us. That's a kind of a no-no, isn't it?
Yeah, and in fact, the several congressmen have let drop that it was their understanding that U.S. intelligence had also informed the Israelis directly through their upper level liaison connections. And so there's more evidence in that. And as you say, when you have the Wall Street Journal, for example, having a source telling them, yeah, we watched them doing their training exercises, then that kind of tells you something, doesn't it?
Wow. It must be hard for Netanyahu, because either way, either he's asleep at the wheel and they got through and it's a huge failure, or he knew about it and allowed it to happen. Both are, you're out of office, buddy. So do you think maybe he underestimated the response, just thought, oh, they'll fire a couple rockets like always, and then we'll go? Maybe they wanted to provoke them. They wanted to get a response, but they didn't know how hard they could hit. They underestimated like how well they would get out of their cage, take out the machine gun turrets with drones. I mean, we'll have to give agency to Hamas. That's my opinion. I think they did provoke it, but they underestimated just how hard the response would be.
Yeah, in fact, I agree with you 100% on that. I think that they miscalculated just how effective these guys could be, how well trained they were, how good their plan was. And so there were a whole lot of things that came together. And they basically did something that the Israeli government, and by that I mean Netanyahu probably made the political decisions here, did not anticipate just how effective this attack would be. They were looking for something a little more low scale that would still give them an excuse for going in and mowing the grass.